Day 5. The Christmas and Easter mix-up. Jesus' crucifixion and subsequent resurrection is usually celebrated at Easter time, but the approximate 3.5 days of sun pause after the shortest day in December can be seen to coincide with Jesus' few days of darkness in the tomb. Many scholars and researchers have discussed what's commonly referred to as the Great Christmas-Easter mix-up. Those few days in the tomb just prior to the resurrection are viewed by Christian mystics, Gnostics, and the Essenes as days of regeneration, days to withdraw from outer influences, days of reflection and meditation. The time period between the 21st and the 25th of December is meant for interoception and the assembly of light. They viewed the rebirth of the sun on the 25th of December as a direct macrocosmic parallel to the inner alchemy and biochemical processes of the body. In Thinking and Destiny, Harold Percival states that the body is in a favourable condition for getting light during the peak of winter. He describes how, due to the microcosmic orbit, lunar and solar germs, or cells, are performing a rebirth inside the body in the exact same way that the sun and moon are performing the rebirth in the sky. The case for the Great Christmas-Easter mix-up is further strengthened by the fact that not long before the sun goes dark or enters the tomb, around the 21st of December, the sun passes a constellation called the Southern Cross, or Cruce, which is seen as parallel to the crucifixion cross on which Jesus was hung. And when resurrecting from the tomb, the sun then passes the constellation of Virgo, related to the Virgin Mother Mary, as it's reborn, or as it begins to rise and ascend. In this interpretation, where Christ's death and resurrection are aligned with the winter solstice, the story seems to reach its symbolic conclusion by December 25th with the rebirth of the sun, or sun, S-O-N. This begs the question, what does the spring equinox in association with Easter symbolize if the winter solstice has already been encapsulated in the death and resurrection allegory? It's put forth by experts that winter solstice represents the inner birth of Christ consciousness, an alchemical process where light is rekindled and assembled in the darkness, and that the spring equinox is the outer manifestation or ascension of this light, the time when new spiritual energy fully blossoms and expresses itself outwardly in the physical world. Biblically, it's stated that Jesus remained on earth for 40 days between his resurrection and his final ascension. So in other words, he was crucified, laid to rest in the tomb where he spent 3.5 days, resurrected, and then spent another 40 days as a resurrected light being before finally ascending out of the 3D reality. And this 40-day period is explicitly mentioned in the New Testament book of Acts. During those 40 days, Jesus continued to teach his disciples and appeared to many followers, solidifying the message of his resurrection before his final ascension into heaven. 40 is a significant number in both the Bible and mystical traditions. It often represents a period of preparation or transformation, and this aligns again with the 40 weeks of fetal gestation that babies go through in the womb before birth. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years. Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness. And this time frame is seen as a preparation cycle before the final climax of spiritual ascent. Jesus' resurrection symbolizes the awakening of spiritual consciousness or Christ consciousness, while the ascension represents the soul's ultimate union with the divine. The 40-day period between these events symbolizes a time of integration, a time for practice, a time for materializing the things that have been instated or the seeds that have been sown during that solstice period, where the higher spiritual truths received or the light codes received are made real, gestated within the physical and mental body before the soul fully transcends. The inner regeneration and cosmic rebirth occurring both in the sky and in our bodies is an interplay of Christ solar and mass lunar Christmas energies being absorbed by the DNA antenna in every cell of our bodies. With the conditions of nature supporting and assisting our endeavors, it's easy to understand why winter solstice is a favorable time to fast and to focus on our spiritual practices that promote light absorption. The potential for deep spiritual purification and awakening during winter is absolutely apparent. It's no wonder then that society and the media surrounds us with more degenerative temptations than ever, mostly in the form of sugar and alcohol at this holy time of year. It is a deliberate, I would say, lure away from us going within and upgrading or rediscovering our innate abilities as light beings. If you want to go deeper, these short daily videos are all inspired by the pages of my book, Christmas Alchemy, Harnessing Cosmic Energy. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for part 6, Time for Anointing. May divine love manifest itself in you all, always and in all ways. Namaste.